attack, fast fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and packs. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet out. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty, hello everybody. This is Kira's show here. Now, whenever we last left off, Midoriya and everyone else, they invaded a CCG warehouse. However, the warehouse had a secret compound underneath it, a ghoul prison. A place so secretive that the public doesn't know about it. Research and development of not only weaponizing humans, but possibly even weaponizing ghoul abilities. And Midoriya gave his people orders. Look around for any information that will be useful or vital, while he takes the child away. They take it somewhere safe. And make sure that the CCG is not creating other soldiers like her. Now, a lot of people listen to Midoriya without question. However, those who do stand there simply do one thing. They take a knee and simply shout to the king that they are devoted followers. Midoriya simply just waving them off, as they get up and all take off running throughout the prison. As Midoriya simply just thinks, as he carries Arie out. This young girl is probably around his age, whenever he first had all this stuff starts. He's not too sure. Last time he saw her in a video, she was, well, young. But looking at her now, he doesn't really think it's right. She should be 15 years old, possibly. Or 14, 13, somewhere around that age. She's just a whole lot bigger. And they leave, as some thoughts are going through Midoriya's mind. Half ghouls age faster. Is that true? That can't be right. Then again, weird biology. So there might be some truth behind it. Especially as to why you don't really see us continue. Why you don't really see half ghouls walking around all the time. Now, with that being said, everyone does get back to base, and keep this facility to themselves. The CCG will have a long time before they realize it has fallen, and by the time they have, they'll already have all the prisoners released, and all the info they can siphon from them. Especially now that they have this unique ghoul. Now, let us cut to a couple hours later. As Arie, she wakes up on a bed, and whenever she jumps up, she is immediately frightened and startled, and confused. As a minute passes, but then there is a knock on her door, asking if they can come in and talk to her. Her somewhat scared and, well, on the defensive, as she releases her Kagune, and it slowly slides around her arm, and she hides it underneath the covers. As soon as Midoriya simply walks in, she goes to attack. Midoriya creating his hand, well, the Kakuja wrapped around his hand, the creation, and simply catching the blade, and holding it there. As Midoriya sees the girl with one eye. as she sees him with one eye, her completely dumbfounded for a second, before just jumping backwards and landing back onto the ground. Midoriya telling her that that is perfectly alright. She is among friends, or at least allies. We will not hurt you. Even though the CCG, they did this to you. Eto, Momo, and Bakugo walking in. As they see her. Eto with one eye and Bakugo with one eye. Momo with two. Her just staring at all of them. As she tries to ask a question. Asking where is she, and what is going on, and who Midoriya is, and why three of them only have one eye. Bakugo going on to say that she is just like her. Arie looking at her and thinking for a second. Before, Bakugo continues talking, saying that she was once human, then she was given these abilities. Arie then simply just looking confused, and going on to say that she's always had these abilities. She's always been this way ever since she was a little girl. To which Midoriya is a bit surprised, thinking that they did this to her at such a young age. And looking at Eto, as the look on her face kinda confirms Midoriya's suspicion. And yeah. They then continue on talking with her. And she does actually have a photo. Something that the CCG usually hide, or try and keep under wraps. It's the only object they give her. It's got to be somewhere in custody, inside that place. If they can find it, it will show a picture of her as a baby, with not only one eye, but with her quirk. Simply explaining it. Surprising everyone. This is a ghoul with a quirk. A natural-born half-ghoul with a quirk. Something not possible. Deemed impossible by the CCG until it was. Now, with that being said, Midoriya gives orders to his people to look for this information. As, roughly about the next day, people do bring back containers and crates, containing everything that they can find. As Midoriya and his people look through them, and eventually they find the photo, along with a few things. One of these boxes is labeled, and Midoriya is surprised to see it, since someone brought it directly up to him. And it was labeled with his name, Izuku Midoriya's confidential files. Midoriya is just looking into it, and seeing quite a bit of things. There's some tapes in here, and some other information. Along with that, there's at least some journals. And he picks one up, confused. As soon as he presses play on the recorder, he hears an unfamiliar voice. This is data entry log, 01. I'm not sure what to say for the record, really. I just found out that my wife was pregnant. That's good. And I'm not really sure what to do. So, Midoriya is simply just thinking, that voice, who is that? As the man states his name, for the record. My name is Hisashi Midoriya. Midoriya immediately being hit by feelings. This is his father's voice. He has never known his father. He died whenever he was a baby. Not even minutes after his own birth, he died. As the record continues, Hasashi simply stating that he found out that his wife was a ghoul, and he's not too sure how to feel about it. For right now, he's probably going to make these data recordings, or data entries, and he will update them as time progresses. However, I'm not too sure these will ever see the light of day. I'm also going to begin to keep a notebook, records if you will. And, well, I'm going to be trying to figure all this out on my own. It's kind of weird to think about though. The only ever instances anyone ever has of a half ghoul only occur with a male ghoul and a female human. However, I can identify and verify that I am a human male, and my wife is a ghoul female. So, clearly something is going on inside the anatomy. Either our anatomy is changing, or theirs is. It's kind of weird and interesting. They're able to start breeding with us. We might be able to be, half ghouls might be more frequent, more prone. It does not make sense though. I'm still trying to think. Anyways, I just found this information out right now, and usually these audio logs are for reports, for CCG detectives. So, once I figure out what I'm going to do, I'm going to, well, continue these recordings. I'm not really too sure what I need to do. Well, this is the end log. As Midoriya hears it stop. And he simply grabs the entire box, picking it up and walking away with it. As everyone saw the shocked expression on his face. Midoriya had taken the logs and everything back to his room, and simply beginning to flip through everything, and look through them. This is information that his dad was trying to learn. Hell, this information could be useful. Things are beginning to open up in both pathways, human and ghoul, meaning that something is about to happen. Their species is coming to a point. If they can keep the species separate, then this point might pass. It's an evolutionary trait they're beginning to develop. However, with the fact that quarks are becoming more prone and ghouls are lessened now, if their species die, this trait will disappear. And it means that something's about to happen. Something odd, something strange. But Midoriya's thought is interrupted. Whenever Eto, Momo, and Bakugo are at the door. And they simply try to talk with him and ask him questions. Midoriya trying to bring up to Eto about their aging process. If she feels any different and if anything feels odd. Her simply stating no. She has not noticed anything. And Midoriya thinks about it in his mind. Either they have not hit that stage in development, or it's going to come at a later time, a later date. So, they need to be ready for that. However, Midoriya gets basically pulled out of his chair and to his feet. As these three go on stating that they won tonight. They won a battle. And they discovered more of their people. This calls for a celebration. And they've even discovered someone who will help lead them. And hell, She is proof of our existence. Our existence is not faulty, our existence is true and meaningful. There is a reason for us to live. Now, with that being said, Midoriya simply listens as they throw a party, and everyone is singing and dancing and screaming. Them holding this party in the CCG compound that they've destroyed, using the bodies as food, and celebrating with coffee and loud music. Now, as this is going on, you do have Midoriya, who is simply sitting there, as he looks down at everyone else partying. The area is mostly dark by now, and he's simply beginning to munch on a piece of flesh, as he simply just thinks. Everything that's been done, everything he has done, it's all been for this. His people, they're liberated. They seem free. However, it's not over. Sure, they won tonight. Sure, he killed Arie. But, do people actually know how he did it? Arie basically killed himself. He wouldn't have survived the gut wound, but he wouldn't have survived the fall either. So he chose the easy way. Midoriya conflicted, thinking, as he releases all of his abilities, all of his Kagunes, as 8 tails burst from his waist, and the tail Kagune actually comes out. The one on his lower back and the one in his tail are basically directly next to each other. Midoriya, feeling it, doesn't really feel a space. He simply just feels one Kagune, then the next. Then he runs his hands up his back, his Kokaku, as he runs his left hand towards his back, finding the space where his Ukaku used to be, is now moved up, and his Ukaku is in place. Wings, blades, tails, and a scorpion stinger. All parts of his abilities. As Midoriya, he feels something. He feels hands run up his back, and someone begin to whisper at him, telling him simply that he will be perfectly fine, and tonight is a party. As he turns around and sees these 3, as clothing is draped over them, and it's basically beginning to fall from their shoulders. All of them telling him that tonight they had peace, and he is going to honor his deal. Eto holding up her hand and saying that he already proposed. So, it's time for them to actually give the king his brides. Midoriya simply just bringing out his hands, as all 3 of them step forwards, and they begin by taking a bite out of the king. As soon as they do, Midoriya somewhat winces in pain. Bites hard enough to scar, as he takes his bites, one by one. And Eto, she actually does want a different one. This was seen as a proposal, yes, but this was years ago. If she is going to be marked, she is going to be marked like everyone else. And she receives a hard bite on her shoulder. And Midoriya then throws out his hands, throwing them up towards the sky as he screams out in celebration. Screaming for his people to continue celebrating. As he is given a crown, something made from his people, something made by his people. They used the quinquets that were scattered about, breaking them and forcing the pieces together. They made him a spiked crown, a crown of thorns, and gave it to him. Midoriya wears it, and simply announces that he has his brides, brides of the king, and their species will thrive and live on. The humans, if they cannot coincide with them, they will either be eradicated or eradicate them. They will not go into the night sleeping and laying on their side. They will go standing and fighting, be it broken bodies or broken wills. They will not die on their knees. They will die like warriors. If the CCG is going to make us just another page in the history books, let us make it a good entry, a good fight, a battle worth lifetimes, given up in one single night. That is not what we will be. That is what they want us to be. Now, as Midoriya has his hands raised up, announcing this to his people, he feels something again. Arms wrap around him more, as Bakugo, Momo, and Eto simply tell him that they should leave their people to party. And they leave, Midoriya spending the night with his brides. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing night. I'll catch you guys in the next part.